Start music!
It's a hard surface usually. It's kind of hard to penetrate through.
Food. It's like chicken.
It's different.
It's everything and nothing at the same time for us, man. Discovered under the rocks.
We have absolutely no. Yeah, we have.
It's loud. Yes.
Like it's a feeling. It's definitely a feeling.
What is metal?
It's like asking what is life. Like honestly. Seriously.
It's like straight up honest, like no bullshit, no frills music. Metal is. I think that's the best way to sum it up.
The best form of expression that I have ever stumbled upon
Isn't coming from the point of view to please anyone except the one who's making it.
People like chicken, some don't like, some like vegetarians, so those people will go to the clubs. Some like the non-veg. And metal is like non-veg. And in that you have the beef and pork, the forbidden. Probably you can associate that with satanic music and death metal. I'm not saying from my point of view, but if you want a broader picture of what metal is, then you have the eggs, which is your punk rock probably, or little punk metal crossover stuff. Then you have chicken, nice chunky stuff, which will cover your Metallica, Pantera, Maiden. Then I don't know, fish. Fish is probably death metal, you know, it's out there, but
just like any other music.
yeah, so like metal is like non-veg. You eat to survive. Some people listen to metal to survive.
And I think it's something that not everyone gets, and I think that is part of the charm of metal itself.
It's a very special thing in my life. Like if there wasn't metal, like life wouldn't be so much fun.
Just a very ambiguous concept, amoeba types.
Millennium were probably the earliest Indian metal band. They sort of started the trend for other bands to follow. Dying Embrace was one of the earliest Indian metal bands that were on the scene back then. But they were very, very, very few metal bands at that point of time.
Then, you know, it broke out into like the 80s scene, which was more like Indus Creed and Rock Machine and stuff like that, which was again more hair metal influenced, you know, which is bands like Guns N' Roses and Poison and stuff like that, who influenced Van Halen, who influenced bands like Indus Creed and stuff like that. Very sort of synth driven, big sound, you know, like big hair, you know, sleeveless shirts and shit.
You know, there was no separate metal scene and separate rock scene. It was all rock. In 1999, 2000, it was all rock. Great Indian rock, independence rock.
But then the second generation of bands like PDV and Kryptos and Demonic Resurrection, they brought heavier, harder metal to India. Metal scene in Bombay was Raspberry Rhino. I mean, they were synonymous. That was the one place you could go on a Thursday night and expect to see a metal band play. This is like in the late 90s. There was one gig in Bombay where all the really loud metal bands could get together, make a lot of noise, and that was Death Fest.
I think there was this event organized by OML called Unconvention in 2009, I think so, which was at British Council. There they had this whole forum on metal music. Okay, so there was a panel. Some guys from UK had come down, from US. I think Metal Hammer was the editor of Metal Hammer had come down to check out the scene here. And on that metal panel, all you could hear was vocalists and guitarists of metal bands cribbing about the fact that there are no venues for metal music. Some, I think Naveen, Vijay Nair and all, they got together and they were like, there were these showcases happening. So at Bandra, at Carter Road, Pentagram and Siren Funk played, so that they know what the scene is happening. As part of the Unconvention showcase, there was a metal showcase that happened in at this place called Pioneer Hall in Bandra, which was, I think, an old church or something. And so there was no promotion, nothing, just word of mouth. People just said that Infernal, Scribe, Bhayanak Moth are playing there, so just come, free entry, blah blah blah. And this, I think it was packed.
This is Sparta!
So you had Blue Frog opening their doors to metal. They have metal nights every month. You had Hard Rock opening their doors for metal bands, and NH7 in their first ever NH7 weekender had a stage called Black Rock Arena, which was dedicated to heavy bands. All of a sudden, there was this surge of metal bands coming up, metal shows happening. Suddenly you only hear metal, metal, metal.
Especially two festivals that I would like to mention, that's the Great Indian Rock Festival and Independence Rock. Both these festivals are kind of what have defined the Indian scene, and that have kind of, with perseverance and being around for 25 to 25 years, have become the landmark gigs in Indian music, I would say. Also somewhere along the way in 2007, Iron Maiden came down to India. We didn't have many international bands visit India. Then we had a whole array of bands follow through, like Opeth and Satyricon, and there were many people instrumental in making this happen, but the scene grew.
I think sort of Indian metal only started finding its feet in the last sort of decade.
From there, I think there was an evolution, along with a huge surge in music coming into the scene via the internet, and the internet revolution kind of giving people a platform to express their views about local bands and the local scene. And that sort of led to development of the scene. Bands like PDV, DR, Cryptos, Threnody started playing original music once again, writing material and even releasing it. And I think from there it sort of just spiraled out of control into what we have today.
Check, check, check.
What do I do? I am a visual effects artist.
Work in music full time. I produce artists for a living.
I work with Ogilvy One. It's a digital agency based here in Bombay, and I'm a creative director.
I have a day job with Furtado's Music.
I am still to figure out what I actually do for a living. In other words, I'm a filmmaker, and yeah.
You guys have been awesome!
One of the biggest sort of lasting ways in which you can see metal change in India through the years or whatever has been like Demonic Resurrection. Okay, like in the early 2000s is when they started, and their sound also has changed so significantly. Just the career graph of that band is very representative of how the scene has changed.
He was one of those kids who hated Sahil Makhija.
He has also tried his hands at various other things. He has a humor metal band called Workshop. He has an extreme death metal band called Reptilian Death. He had his solo project also called The Demon Stealer. And also, I mean, one thing that I was a part of was this cookery show that he did, online cookery show called The Headbanger's Kitchen.
Rolling.
Welcome to Headbanger's Kitchen. Mushrooms. Butter in the pan. I'm gonna tell you.
I mean, Tendulkar, I guess, of the scene. सब कुछ करता है यार वो.
I think if he wasn't here, we wouldn't have been here.
It has a certain character, it has a certain personality to it that all of us connect with.
Contrary to popular belief, it's quite an emotional form of music. It's quite aggressive. There's no holding back as far as the music goes.
Yeah, you can just lose yourself, just be who you want to be.
You won't ask a jazz musician like why do you choose jazz?
Like go out there, beat someone in a mosh pit. And metalheads are the happiest people on earth. It's a proven fact. We listen to the most aggressive form, but that release is just so good that we're usually in a good mood. We're funny guys.
Like for example, if you take about hip hop, most of the hip hop artists are singing about all this bling and big house and everything. I don't live in a big house. I don't have 20 cars, so I really cannot relate to what the person is talking about.
No reason. I just want to. I like non-veg. I like chicken a lot. So
it's their rebellion against our culture that kind of tells you that beta, get up. Today you go become a doctor, tomorrow you will marry that girl from that caste, you will have 2 kids, I will have grandchildren and so on. And that is, I think, what the fans are rebelling against. That's what Indian metalheads sort of connect to. They're told don't grow your hair, don't get a tattoo, don't wear torn jeans, don't wear this scary looking t-shirts or whatever it is. What is this noise you're listening to?
Metal has always been about, breaking away from what is out there, what's mainstream, and just doing things the way you like to do it. And that's not just Indian, it applies everywhere.
They hold on to it because I think the associations that people have with metal, the way they get into it, and the ways in which they sort of experience it, and the ways in which they discover more metal, or the ways in which they go to a gig and sort of wait for shit to break loose. That's very unique to metal. You don't have that in any other genre.
We wouldn't be who we are if not for metal. It never happened before that metal bands would headline college festivals, or metal bands would play big slots at big festivals and all that, but that's happening now just because so many more people are really enjoying it. And while I say all this, it's still very underground. It's not like suddenly we're in every household every household in India, but we're reaching out to the people who really want to hear our music and like our music.
Is I think one of the main reasons why we play heavy music, because if it were just up to me, I would just make it into some kind of Anumalik type band. I'm quite sure.
I kind of did it because I had to do it. There was no option. There were no labels that would touch Demonic Resurrection's music. There was no independent label that was there to release our music, so I had to make my own. There were no festivals or shows where we could play. It was as simple as that. No labels, no shows, no support from anywhere. So I had to create that for myself. And in turn, while doing that, I said, why not do it for other bands? Because at the end of the day, we were friends with a lot of other bands. And I wanted them to have the same opportunity because they are in the same boat as we were. So Demon Stealer Records came about, the Resurrection Festival came about, and for me, I've always done it for the bands rather than doing it to make money or profit or whatever, which is probably why they've all died now, because it's not possible for me to continue doing it. But yeah, it's been more about just kind of making things happen rather than waiting for someone to come and do it for you.
Blue Frog is one of the most sort of upper class bourgeois sort of places for you to check out a gig. It costs $300 to get in, and it'll be packed with kids who will barely be able to buy that one beer. The band gets on stage and everybody is like so hesitant to start a mosh pit because they're at Blue Frog, which is not really the place for mosh pits. It's the place for a 700 rupee burger. And then one guy just does like just like a meek sort of push, and then another guy starts, and then it gets into the thing, and then the waiters and all are also looking like, because this is for them, this is a brand new experience, like what the fuck is going on? But they have a metal night, and that's a recognition of the fact that they are enough artists to fill up Blue Frog on a Sunday night.
Doesn't have returns in India, so people who are actually sticking to it, they're doing it because they just love it.
It's something that you do for the music scene, and it's like, it's one of those things where you don't think about profit or loss.
From, I think we came here at 7:30 in the morning. 7:30. Exaggerating. Left at 7.
I never knew that India does such as concerts. I heard them talking about that Opeth is coming to India. I could not believe that.
There was this band that played before us. He kept looking to the heavens and kept crying out something. Do you know the lyric?
Give yourself to Jesus.
Give yourself to Jesus or something like that he kept saying, and then next thing you know, it just started raining, man. It rained so...
Jesus really came.
We were playing a gig at Pits Pilani, the Goa campus, and like 10 minutes before we got on stage, Aditya broke his elbow, and he played that gig with a broken elbow. Because that just shows the kind of dedication and love that everybody in the band has for BM, and we'll do anything to, like, you know, to make stuff happen.
This guy called TJ Mori, we were at Raz Rhino, and in the middle of, I don't remember whose set it was, but he was suddenly really excited and he took a flying leap from the first floor balcony of Raz Rhino onto the crowd below, except that the crowd parted and he landed on the floor.
A particular gig where they called this uncle who was there at like all the gigs on stage, and he was like literally dancing and shaking around to the music, which was just so much fun to see, you know. And then, you know, Vishwesh joined him and they both were doing a little jig of sorts and everything. So yeah, that's really fun to watch.
You saw 30,000, 40,000 metalheads come down to Bangalore, wait as early as the previous night outside the venue to get in, stock the hotels, the airports, and go literally crazy when the band came. Like, I remember I went and waited in line. I stood there from 3 in the afternoon or 2 in the afternoon, and when we went in, the crowd just went running in front of the barricade and they just like stood there, and Iron Maiden wasn't coming on till like 8:30. It was a crowd of metalheads who've been waiting 10-15 years to hear their favorite band, and that to me was the concert that kind of just opened everything up for the scene.
The whole venue was packed. The bands over there, the people who had come over there were like just filled with nostalgia about how the place was. This song and everyone's going nuts, and suddenly we see someone climbing on someone's shoulder, and you know there's this beam across Raz, and we see someone just climbing on top of that and climbs on top, and he sits, and that's when we end the song, and then we see it's Rahul from Bhayanak Moth, you know, and it was some kind of a, you know, it didn't sink in, you know, that this is going to be the last show, but seeing him on that beam was some kind of a completion, because I guess that is going to be a memory that we all will have. And but to be in that place, be in that vibe, I guess that was one of the best, by far the best Scribe shows that I ever had. Scribe or any other band shows that I ever played at Raz, I think, yeah.
भाई लोग क्या बाकी लोग क्लास बंक कर रहे हैं क्या?
What is this noise coming out of the speakers to what is this noise coming out of you?
Stereotypes are attached to it, like, oh, this kind of music, you
worship
Satan, you drink goat's blood, you do drugs, you
have groupies,
apparently, and STDs, like all that. So most of our parents have been to a few shows of ours also. So I think seeing what we do live kind of like confirmed the feeling. Okay, fine, like these guys are messing around.
Not us, seeing that there are enough people in the crowd.
There are people there.
These guys are not jobless. To justify this as entertainment in some viable form.
They don't feel good. They don't really feel, they don't appreciate much.
My folks have been to a lot of, not just BM, but they've been to like shitloads of metal concerts. So my mom's been to a Metallica concert. Both my parents have seen Mayhem. They love it.
But they are really proud of whatever we are doing. I mean, they were surprised, like, really, you guys have your t-shirt and you guys are gonna go to Norway to make this noise, people are gonna call you back, and like, really?
It didn't matter that it was music related, it was more that, look, we don't want you to do heavy metal full time, not because we have a problem with heavy metal, but because there's no money in it, and we know that. And they were right, there's no money in metal, but they were very supportive. They were a little skeptical when I dropped out of college. Again, not because I was dropping out of college, but what am I going to do? I've been very lucky that they've been supportive, and they've always been very proud of me, and they've never failed to tell me that. So it's been very reassuring for me, and it's always allowed me to do the things I'm doing with a little more confidence.
India is not the first place that you think of when you think of metal. It's like that. Like, girls is not the first thing that you think of when you think of metal. You think of like sweaty guys with few friends, you know.
The first name and the only name that actually pops in my head is Yasmin Claire Kahazi from Mindsnip, Ramya Rao from Script, and Pratika Prabhune from Chronic Phobia. Pratika is one of the youngest female metalheads I've seen. I mean, she has been playing bass since she was, I think, 13 or 14 years old.
Yasmin is one of the few like ultra talented, you know, drummers, and she was one of the best. I'm not saying one of the best girl drummers. I'm saying one of the best drummers in the country. Yasmin was.
A lot of parents are not cool with the fact that, you know, their daughter will be out till like 12 or 11 in the night. I think this is one of the biggest reasons why there aren't enough women in the metal scene.
I was the front woman of that band, and I had growled for doing a sound check, I think, yeah. So the crowd actually went mad. So they actually had a look on their face, was like, did she really do that?
The cleanser of souls, with no speck of sins.
That's fine.
Sometimes I feel the fear of the uncertainty singing clear, and I can't help but ask myself how much I let the fear take the wheel and steer. It's driven me before seas of pain, haunting mass of fear. Lately I began to find that I should be the one behind the wheel.
Of Kulavari D, like I dance to it like immediately.
A lot of my musical ideas, in fact like most of them I would say, come from non-metal artists.
Roots start with punk rock. That's the fast and furious punk rock. I love punk rock, and I listen to a lot of hip hop.
I know metal musicians, I know regular folk musicians who do drugs, I know metal musicians who do drugs. I know metal musicians who don't do drugs. I know, like Sahil Makhija, he doesn't even drink.
That smoking up and whatever, drinking, I think regular people do it much more than what metalheads do, like any day. And we take metal music and this music very seriously because it's like a alternative lifestyle we lead.
If drugs works for you, it works for you. It doesn't work for me. So, well, I noticed that, actually I'll speak for myself. This is not when I was like listening to a lot of metal, but when I was like a young musician, for me at one point it became more about the lifestyle and more about the drugs than the actual music. That's when I kind of broke away from the scene for a few years, gave it a break. And after like 3-4 years I got back in the scene, started going for gigs once in a while, started meeting my old friends from the scene. It took me a while to get comfortable with it. Like for dance music you dance, for metal you mosh. It's just that simple. I mean, it's the audience's way of participating.
It's not violent at all. In fact, mosh pits are governed by like really strict rules of etiquette. You're not allowed to push a person down. Technically, if you see someone who's fallen, it's your absolute duty to lend them a hand, pick them up, dust them off, and then you can start moshing again. It's not a free-for-all fist fight. It's controlled aggression in a way.
It's kind of like a sign of approval for a band, who can get the biggest mosh pit going in the crowd. Heavy metal stereotype is often misunderstood, but the fact that it is a stereotype is in itself a problem. That's why when people meet metalheads that may not necessarily have tattoos or do drugs, they're like, oh, you're like that? I can't believe it.
We don't look at somebody and say, oh, they're not metal. I mean, how does that matter?
Like, look at him, he's not metal.
Yeah, look at him, he's a fucking lawyer.
That's very metal. I'm evil, more evil than
oh yeah,
you
that's true, that's true. He's fucking evil.
That's fucking metal, dude.
Like, I don't think I look metal in this
Pepe jeans t-shirt.
Pepe jeans.
Plus we're in a climate that really is not conducive to wearing leather and jackets and bullet belts and stuff like that. So you have a different style of dressing, with metalheads here as well.
Giving them back.
I was listening to this band from Delhi called IAFWAY, okay? There's a bunch of college kids, not even college kids, I think they're still in school, and they make this kind of metal that sort of incorporates influences from video games, because obviously they're still in school, so they're playing video games. And it's genius, like the soundscapes are so unique. I think we voted it one of our best EPs of 2010 or 2011 or something like that. Some fantastic sort of metal is coming out of this country.
end of the day, why I headbang on stage with Scribe is not because I love metal or it's like, you know, it's heavy music that I really like, but it's the vibe, the energy that you get on stage. You're playing with people whom you know for the past 7 to 8 years, you know, and that feeling, the music, it's made by us, and somehow I identify with that music not because it's metal, but because it's music, some form of music or the other.
We saw Nirvana and therefore we wanted to be Nirvana. We saw Metallica and therefore we wanted to be Metallica. So in that sense, obviously from a more conservative or an orthodox perspective, you're going to look at that as something that's absolutely alien. You know, what the hell are those flames on a Sepultura t-shirt supposed to mean? Or why is your hair so long? Or why are you wearing black all the time? Or why, why are you singing so harshly? You know, that's something that's completely alien to Indian culture.
Then even at the end of the day, you cannot make metal your profession still in India. Probably after 30-40 years you may, but now you can't make metal as a profession. You won't earn, you'll hardly earn anything.
Metal scene in the country right now is the fact that there's no active infrastructure to support these bands. That kind of, you know, organizers, promoters, booking agents, all of that comes in. That's when I think musicians will finally be able to, metal musicians will be able to probably start making a living out of what they do.
I think we're currently in the process of evolution in the Indian metal scene. It's never meant for the masses, it's never going to be for the masses. The moment it becomes for the masses, half the people will probably stop listening to it because they don't want to be listening to stuff that everyone listens to. They want to be special, they want to listen to a kind of music that only they understood, you know.
You love metal, I mean, that's never going to change.
Stuff that just defied conventions, I guess.
Stay true, stay metal. That's it.
I'm Keshav. What's the question again?
Hi, this is Venki. He plays guitars for Mehr Singh.
Hi, this is Rahul, and he plays drums and sells drugs in band.
Yeah.
Start.
Hey, I'm Chintan Chinappa from the band. Okay, let's do that again.
Hi, this is Shashank from Andagansi.
I'm Vishwaroop from Andagansi. I'm the guitar player of Andagansi.
Hi,
This
is Aditya,
Gopinath
who plays
guitars
for Bhayanak.
DR. Moth.
Wow.
My name is Srinivas Sudarajan and people call me The Vas. And I call myself The Vas, people call me Vas. That's also my Gmail ID.
So basically I'm Gautam Deb and I play for Noiseware. I play drums for Noiseware and reverse polarity.
Okay. Hi, this is Sanit Revankar and he sings for Bhayanak Pot. Tries to sing. Yeah, that's who he is.
So